Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So today is actually a very exciting day. As you can see, I have the car jack stands here. I'm over here at my friend Eric's house again. And yep, roadsters and rally cars. And we are actually building, or actually installing the Killer Bee exhaust, or the exhaust header. Cobb bypass valve, group in motor mounts, and then the new star of the show today, guys, is this bad boy. So shout out to Ruben Fernandez over at Socal Porting for getting this Socal V3 upgrade to me. As you guys know, this is a stock frame turbocharger that's ported, polished, and it's actually running their billet compressor wheel right here. It's a swept 10-fin blade design, and it's supposed to spool very, very quickly and then definitely push out a lot more air. So Eric's getting the car up right now on jack stands. We're gonna go ahead and remove the dreaded Jade pipe. So to kind of mitigate, having to deal with this, we did get a bottle of MAP gas and then some PB blaster. So hopefully we don't struggle too much with those studs. Other than that, it seems like, from what I recall on Subiespeed's video, the header install is fairly simple. The bolts, the nuts on those aren't too bad. It seems like, or the Jade pipe is really the only one that's gonna give us the issue. So we are back, guys. Have the car up on stands. Eric and I went ahead and took out all the J-pipe studs. Surprisingly, with an aftermarket J-pipe, it didn't have too much trouble, right?
Not too bad.
Except for one.
But still came out.
One thing that I did want to mention that actually Eric really helped me out on was the housing. It was actually stripped.
Yeah, one of the exhaust housing holes was not
correct. So
correct.
we actually had to tap it. It's an M10 by 1.25 if you guys ever need it. Make sure you get free spinning, threads. You do not want to put this on with half-assed with the thread half sticking out and stuff like that. So the studs are awesome. These are not. These nuts, I mean, typically you find these on like a BMX bike. The ones that you truly want to use, Eric actually gave me these. I think they came off of Mazda, right?
Yeah,
Eric?
that's Miata exhaust.
So a little bit difference on these. They don't have like the little locking flange thing that it has. However, it's domed on the top and it's actually tapered. So when you go in to a certain amount of thread, it starts having resistance. So it actually pulls the threads and it just creates a better seal.
Yeah.
So our next step right now, guys, we do have to remove the J-pipe, which we had all the connections done. We took off the connectors for the O2 sensors. And now we'll check back in when we're ready to start removing the header. Alright guys, so we are back and we're basically actually in the steps of removing all these coolant and oil lines. Had a little bit of an issue. It's kind of strange. I could have sworn that I mounted my Grimmspeed EBCS and for some reason it has come off. So not sure what's going on with that. Alright everyone, so we have the intake pipe off. We are working on the stock turbo inlet and then the charge pipe, all 8mm bolts that we're working with, except for the 10mm bolts that are in the housing. So when you guys start doing the turbo housing bolts or taking these off, be very careful. You do not want to strip this. For us, it doesn't really matter, to be honest, because we're actually going to be throwing on a new turbo. If you are going to put the stock turbo back on, make sure you do not strip these. If you do end up stripping it, make sure you thread chase it or tap it to make sure. Otherwise, it won't be a fun time. Alright, J-pipe is off, guys. Actually, these were pretty easy. Not too bad. I'm not too worried about the stud coming out because the new Socal V3 Turbo has all brand new studs in it. So, I really recommend going with an aftermarket manifold just because the stock manifold is a lot less to be desired, but it also has a lot of frozen bolts and things like that. So unless you want to sit there chasing threads and things like that.
You don't want to be dealing with the turbo manifold on car.
Yep.
You have two setups. You could swap turbo man and complete setup on the engine.
That's right. So the next steps, guys, we are going to break these header nuts loose right here and then drop this whole unit down. Okay. All right, so since we have everything off, Eric's actually gonna remove the stock bypass valve. It was recommended by Ron that I don't run the stock bypass valve, especially with an upgraded turbo. So went ahead and got the Cobb LF bypass valve. Some guys have run more boost than like 20 PSI on the OEM one, but they have to like crush the top and hammer it and whatnot.
And then no matter what, you're still always got risk of the diaphragm failure.
That's right. So yeah, we're gonna replace it with this Cobb piece right here, and it's good to go. All right, Eric wanted to point it out. Make sure you guys spend the time on this banjo fitting for the oil feed line. If you are using a Socal V3 like myself, you're gonna have to transfer it over. I believe the FP Blue and some of the other turbo upgrades, they're gonna require different oil feed line, like a stainless steel braided setup. Also, I heard the guys running the externally waste gated setup, they also cannot run that. Header nuts loose. And yeah, we're about to drop the sucker down. Okay, so we have the stock turbo here, guys. Took off the whole manifold. We're in the process of actually basically transferring over the oil sump for the turbo. I am going to be able to reuse the heat shield on the turbo. However, as you guys know, the Killer Bee header will not work with the OEM heat shield. So yeah, we're kind of going through this process, but it seems so far so good, right?
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah. Make sure you guys support good quality companies like Killer Bee, Grimmspeed, and guys like that. Otherwise, your install is going to be a lot harder than this, trust me. Okay, we have the Killer Bee manifold mounted to the Socal V3 Turbo. We're trying to retain the stock heat shield. There is a bracket that you guys are going to have to remove from the OEM manifold. And that's actually how it lines up. And it just there's going to be 3 bolts that you just put in, 3 10 millimeters. And that way, you know, you guys can keep your underhood, you know, temps, especially around your vacuum lines, around your boost controller and things like that, you know, safe. Now, one thing that you do have to remember is the FP Blue turbos and some other aftermarket turbos, this will not work. So those ones, you're gonna have to figure out like a turbo blanket or some other solution. We were actually messing around with the stock turbo inlet. It had an issue. If you guys are running the Grimmspeed EBCS, technically you guys only really focused on tightening these screws down. However, I noticed that my whole EBCS was just dangling. These machine screws have come loose, so
they were completely gone. We replaced them.
This one was completely gone actually, and had to find replacement. Oh, were both gone?
Gone completely.
Okay. So yeah, we went ahead and Loctited these, and actually had to cut down an Allen wrench because, as you guys can see, there's not much space.
It's a very awkward 40, 60.
We're pretty much wrapped up. We are just going to install the turbo now. We were able to put on the OEM heat shield, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, other than that, I think we're on the home stretch here.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Just about wrapped up with the install. Huge thanks to Eric over here, my buddy. But yeah, wanted to show you guys everything's all buttoned up. This is the Killer Bee non-external wastegate header. I do live in California, so I didn't want to take the chance with Cobbs over here. So yeah, got the J-pipe all installed. Now, we lost a lot of coolant, so we're gonna go ahead and do a coolant burp, basically. But right now, we are actually in the step of priming the turbo. Now, when you guys get an aftermarket turbo, anytime you change the turbo, you're gonna want to run oil through that sucker, or the turbo's just gonna go bad real quick. So what I did was I pulled the fuel pump fuse. You guys have done this for trying to not make the car start. This is, I'm sure you guys have done this for the flex fuel installs and things like that. So we're gonna go ahead and do 5 seconds 5 times, and that should help pull some oil through. Almost wanted to start there, huh? Yep. So that's 2. Okay guys, moment of truth. Here we go. Will it start? Woo! Car starts. We're just gonna go ahead and burp the coolant. Thermostat to open up right now. But yeah guys, pretty successful install. No leaks. Very, very happy. You know, again, if you guys are in the Socal area, make sure to hit up Eric right here. He works on a lot of Subarus, rally cars. It's actually going to be in line to do Toyota WRX. So stay tuned for that. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. This is the install for my Socal V3 on the Killer B internally waste-weighted header. All right, see you guys next time for the tune with Ron Watson at Phatbotti.